Hello gamers, this is DNH and welcome back to SkyBlock Quickcarpet. So, in the last episode that I recorded, which, hopefully you saw the time-lapse, which should be the last episode I posted, but the last episode before that, I mentioned that I had a backlog, and so I took a few weeks off, and then I recorded that episode, and I only had one episode left to post, after that. And the thing was that one episode left to post was the Wither fight. And even at the time I was recording the Wither fight, I had forgotten, because I had a backlog, that I was kind of even thinking of splitting that in two episodes where I was gearing up and then fighting the Wither, which is what I ended up doing. So I did that into two episodes, and then I edited that episode where I said I had a backlog, and then I ended up finishing the pyramid, at least for right now, and doing a time lapse. So then all of a sudden I posted those 4 episodes and I had basically another month-long backlog. So that took me through the rest of December and pretty much into early January. Now, I thought about releasing the Wither episodes while they were going to be 2 separate ones on the same day. I didn't do that. I also thought about releasing the time lapse on its own day and not in part of the schedule. But basically, December was a good time. Holidays were a good time to take some time off, and I took some time not really playing Minecraft even, and then I took some time to just grind some gravel and some wood and some other stuff, so in the new tree farm and things. So basically now I'm back at it. I only have the time lapse today is Sunday. The time lapse goes up tomorrow, so I basically don't have much of a backlog anymore. And I want to stress that I don't think a backlog is a terrible thing. And in fact, one of my buddies, Mitch Keeler, is taking basically this month off to draw a backlog. But when you have a backlog, I kind of feel like, when I'm posting episodes that aren't going to go up for like 3 or 4 weeks, I kind of feel detached from the episode once it goes up. And, once it goes up, I'm already way further on doing stuff, and I feel that, so I don't like having that much of a backlog in particular, but, I like to be closer to where we're at. So I feel better about this. And I'm ready to start fresh. I haven't really built much of anything. We'll talk about that. So where are we at? I have a spider farm. Basically the multi-mob farm produces plenty of spiders, so I don't really need it's really hard to reach up here. Okay, so I really don't need a spider farm. I guess I'll just leave this. So the problem with an enchanting table, if you haven't seen my other episodes, is in this skyblock, I really don't have a good way of getting diamonds, so I can't really make an enchanting table. And there's a few other things that I don't really have access to, but eventually, I don't know if I'll do anything with that or not. So, build a house. We're going to talk about that. The zoo, I've already done the aquarium, which is good. Bird bee exhibit, I need to do hostile mob exhibit. Let's see, I'm going to do horse bunny ranch exhibit. I need the jungle exhibit. I need the snow mountain exhibit. Okay. Good. So I've done the trading bazaar. I still need to do pyramid farms. Okay. So I'll just move that one over there. I don't know if I need to do anything else over there. I'll just leave it like that for now. Build a castle and pillager farm out where I'm going to build the castle in the pillager area. So yeah, just wanted to kind of update some of these signs and stuff. So let's talk about some of these things. So you'll see I cleared this tree farm out, and I'm going to take down this. I get plenty of mob drops from over there, and Probably I'm going to, I haven't completely decided what I'm going to do. I want some form of farms probably. Most of my farms, I'm probably going to move over there, and I don't know if I'm going to make automated villager collecting farms for like the potatoes and the carrots and stuff. But I like having some access to this stuff. I have the sugarcane farm over there, although it doesn't produce sugarcane that fast, but I can make a patch of sugarcane over there. Obviously I have sweet berries and cocoa over here, but I'm going to clear all this out. Most of my farms, most of them are probably going to go over there. I guess there's some advantage to having them in loaded chunks. Anything within the red bounding box out there is technically loaded, I guess. Although it doesn't seem to make that much difference. I don't know. But I'm gonna tear this down. I'm probably gonna take all this stuff down. Definitely going to take down and rearrange all this storage and things. And I'm gonna build a house, a mansion, some kind of home base over here. I want it to be now, like this let me pillar up here real quick just to talk about this. So this is a pretty big area. There's a lot, I'll talk about that in a second. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of space here, okay? But I don't want to make something that scale-wise is just a huge thing that kind of dwarfs the cathedral and the library and whatever. So I'm going to make something that's not terribly tall and kind of spread out more and maybe has different sections or wings or whatever, something that's just more spread out and doesn't go, it's going to go kind of tall, but and might at points be about as tall as some of those things, but I don't want it to just look like this massive huge thing that dwarfs all of these other buildings right here. We'll see how I do. I mean, that's what I'm telling you, but once I start getting into building, who knows. So that brings me to these, okay? So what we have here, so that's my cobblestone generator. For those of you who haven't watched, it uses completely vanilla mechanics to basically replicate using a bug TNT and lava and water pistons push the things out and it blows up and makes cobblestone. So it looks pretty big, and I built it very utility wise, and it's pretty high up. Like if I kind of want to encase it, make something around it that looks a little bit better, blends in maybe more with what I'm going to build as a house. But it is, if I do it at the level that it's at, it's just going to be a really big building. Also, I'm going to make something that looks a lot like that, but produces basalt. So in 1.16, you can make basalt by running lava through soul soil and what is that, packed ice, blue ice? I don't know. I think it's blue ice. Anyway, and it makes basalt. And see if we, I made an automated thing. So the pistons push, boom, and then it makes basalt. And then boom. And I'm going to, much like that, does that automatically with stone, I'm going to build something that looks like that. It's not going to be quite as efficient because I need to space them out a little bit. But I did a little testing, and it will produce plenty of basalt. So I'm going to produce something similar, and then I'll be able to make basalt. Which is good, and I could technically, make what is polished basalt. Okay, fine. So I will do that next to it. Probably next to it. I think I'm gonna leave these over here and not relocate these or the iron farm over to the pyramid area. The iron farm might benefit from being loaded because it is loaded in the chunks more. So I will leave it here. Because it doesn't produce iron that quickly, and iron can be pretty useful. And this and the sand farm and whatever I don't just leave them running. I'm gonna be next to them when they're running. So so right next to it, I'm gonna put the same thing only with basalt. I'm gonna tear out this dark room. I have a better one in the pyramid, and then the witch farm I'm probably gonna tear out also because honestly, at this point, like I could rebuild it to make it more efficient because right now it's just gravity fed and whatever. But at this point, I don't really need the glowstone or redstone from them because I get way more in trading, and the bottles, I mean, I could make tons of with glass. I don't need the resources from the witches that much. excuse me. So I'm going to do that, and just right next to it probably put farm. But I need to I need to decide what I'm going to do, because I probably want to lower these. The reason I haven't built that farm yet is I want to decide what to do, because I probably want to lower this so that, again, it's not a super imposing thing on the landscape. But that's going to be a lot of work, okay? Because it's kind of intricate, but that's why if I'm going to build another one of those, I want to build it lower and whatever. So that's my plans for right here. Excuse me, wow. Let me take one more drink real quick. Okay, so, and then I almost forgot why I was updating the board. I forgot to put the other thing on there. Okay, so, here we go. So, I guess I'll leave pyramid farms on this line and put on also on this line flower farm hanging gardens. Okay. Is it an A? God, I'm such a bad speller. There's no way it's an A. Okay. So I vaguely mentioned this in the last episode, but we're gonna go over to the flower farm area while I talked about it. So I want to redo where the flower farms are, and so you've seen my pyramid. And one of the ideas that I had for this map, and I told you I've had a lot of ideas, and I haven't talked about them that much, and I don't know why. I mean, just mainly because they're really long-term projects, I guess, and, I don't, and you're not going to see a lot of them for a long time, so why bother talking about it? But one of the visions that I had was recreating, to some extent, the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So if you're familiar with that, there's a list online or whatever, and it's not like I'm going to try to be hyper realistic to what those actually look like or whatever. Well, in many of them, we don't necessarily even know what they actually look like. The only one that still exists today is the Great Pyramid at Giza, and obviously I built my pyramid. So one of the other ones, and actually this one in particular, is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. There's a lot of question as to whether or not it even existed or what it looked like. There's not a whole lot of emphasis on what that is. So, but I am going to make a Hanging Gardens over by my flower garden farm thing. So yeah, and then I'm going to eventually make other ones, like there's a couple of statues. This is the Colossus at Rhodes, and there's a lighthouse. So I'm going to make something probably over by the beach, either the Colossus at Rhodes or lighthouse or whatever. There's like a mausoleum. There's a bunch of them. I'm not going to really worry about talking about it. And eventually it would be my goal to hopefully have all 7 of them somewhere within this SkyBlock map. But the reason why I'm talking about doing the Hanging Gardens as my next project is, instead of, like, I just put all that zoo stuff up there. I do need to get back to my zoo. I haven't abandoned it. But for one of the reasons why I focused on the pyramid was I wanted the villager trading to give me access to a lot of stuff that I didn't have in this map. There's a lot of stuff that I'm just not farming or don't even have access to. And so that's why I also started working on the basalt generator, because I would like to have access to basalt. And one of the other things I would like to have access to is bees. And now, honey and bees is not that intricate, right? But basically, I do want access to it. And while I am going to make a flying exhibit in my zoo, of birds and of parrots and bees and, things that fly, it's not like I'm going to have a ton of bees over there and be farming honey and whatever. So I plan on incorporating bees into my flower farm. Now, I had told you that I built this flower farm out here, and I've shown you this before. And I would basically bone meal these patches. This is in a flower forest. You can see their biome. And I would bone meal these patches and get flowers, and then I would have the 4 flowers over here. Which basically gives me everything except the blue orchids, which only get from swamps. And then And then the other thing that I've shown you a couple of times recently now, so I farmed a bunch of gravel, is my wither fight. And so I showed you in my last episode that I fought the wither 2 more times to get those extra beacons for the tree farm. But basically I fought it with chickens. So I threw a bunch of chicken eggs in there and then fought it. So I now have almost 5.5 stacks of wither roses from that, which is good. So obviously that's another flower. And so I'm going to make out here a hanging gardens, and I'm going to incorporate, to an extent, the wither rose is part of it. So I'm going to incorporate this farm into that, this cave for killing withers thing into it a little bit. But basically it's going to be out here, and it's gonna, so it's gonna be a hanging garden. So, hopefully I will start on that pretty soon, and so I won't go too much into detail on what you're gonna see. But basically, I talked about maybe moving this pad a little bit, and I'm probably not gonna move it that much. But here's the deal with Flower Forest, and it does. Okay, so if I hit B, you notice there's a bunch of colors over here and on all these things. So in the Flower Forest, if you bone meal a patch of grass, basically what happens is it doesn't always produce a flower, okay? But like mostly it produces grass. But if it produces a flower, you'll notice that this is, what is that, an azazel, white azazel or whatever, and it's on this white thing. Bone mealing this square will not always produce a flower, but every time it produces a flower, it will always be this kind of flower in a flower forest. It will never be anything else. Same with this patch. See, on this patch, it was a red tulip. Again, if it's a flower in this red ring, it is always going to be a red tulip. If it is a flower in this purple, it is always going to be an azazel. This one is always going to be a poppy. Always going to be, orange tulip, pink tulip. Actually, I guess that's is that the white one? I think that's the white one. Yeah, that's more pink. Anyway, so it is always going to be oxeye daisy within the cornflower. It is always going to be a certain one within the thing. So you'll notice that if you look around, the patterns for these things are kind of different. Some of them are bigger areas, some of them are more lines, but if you look around enough, you can find kind of a big enough area with each kind of flower. So I looked all over this area, okay, and I found areas within a reasonable distance where there's at least about a 7x7 patch of each flower type. And so in that area, I am going to build an automatic flower farm for each type of flower. And that way it'll automatically bone meal the patch, and it'll only give one type of flower, and then it will, and it'll wash them down into chests and to save them and stuff. If I go over here until about you'll see the green. So you see the green line come out, and in fact, there, see that right there is a witch hut. So that is in swamp. Now if you come over here more, the swamp, I don't see the green line from here, but it is actually closer over here. So right around here, the swamp gets the closest to the flower forest. So I will be able to get the blue orchids over there. So I will build a pad in the swamp, build pads. Mostly they'll be in and around this area that I'll build these little pads kind of up in the air, which automatically farm the flowers and drop them into chests. So I'm going to build one for each type of flower, so that I will automatically farm the flowers. And then the 4 flowers that are too tall flowers like these, they don't have patches that grow, but basically you can hit them with bone meal. So I'll just make an area where I can bone meal them if I want to. Is it in here? I guess in there. Okay. So I will have ability to get all of those. And then and then the wither will have the ability to produce wither roses. See, this little patch right here is the only thing over here where I have Lily of the Valley, which is why it was harder for me to get those. And it's not wanting to. There you go, Lily of the Valley. But anyway, so it's an interesting mechanic, and that's really a flower forest mechanic. If you go to just plains or whatever, it doesn't do that. It's just random what type of flower will grow when you bone meal. Although it's only between the poppy and the daisy or whatever. But poppies and daisies will grow in flower forest. Obviously, you saw there's poppies right here on this one, and I don't think within this patch there are daisies, but or dandelions rather, the yellow ones. But those oxeye daisies are right there. Dandelions, but there is a patch somewhere out there. So anyway, so I will build this up. Build these paths, and then in between there, I'm just going to make kind of varying levels of garden and kind of, I'll put vines, and I'm going to use clay and the terracotta and the glazed terracotta that I'm going to get from the villager trades, and I'm going to try to keep the colors pretty light. I might use some bone blocks. I might, use some white concrete or some other light colored concrete. Might also use some, I'm going to put some trees in there and some vines, hanging garden style and a bunch of different levels. But I'm also going to incorporate bees and the ability to get honey within this big area. And this is going to be kind of a big area. I originally said I'm going to move this a little bit, but it'll probably extend to right about here, although maybe none of the really important stuff will be right this close. Although in testing and in fighting 3 withers already, I was nowhere near the wither breaking out of this box. I mean, it didn't go halfway down. It didn't go a quarter of the way down. There is just no way the wither is going to get out of that box, period. So I'm not even remotely worried about it. So I'm not that worried about moving this thing. Mostly it's just going to be relocated because, as you saw, none of these are real. This might be big enough, although there's this blue patch. I want to get it where there's no patch of anything in a 7x7 area. And so this might be close in here. But there are places where it's basically there. I think one of them, maybe it was the poppies or the dandelions, I'd have to leave one block off as not being grass or something. But basically, there are areas within this that exists. I did testing in a creative world and looked, and yeah. So I will build those things, and that's really probably going to be my next project because I want to get this having efficient farms. I want to get access to bees and honey, and yeah, so that is probably going to be my next project. I know I have tons of projects that I haven't even, again, work on the house, work on the castle, work on the zoo, but hey, that's part of the thing. And one of the reasons why I don't just work on all of them at once is just because of the time lapses. If I was doing multiple projects at once, I'd have to sort of separate the time lapse video files into different folders and try to keep track of them. And it's just easier to build through one project and go on. Even if I revisit it later, like I did with the spawn area where I kind of redid some of the wooden buildings and stuff, or redid some of the front of the library. It's just better to kind of focus on one project and finish it off. Not to mention, if I started 3 or 4 projects with time lapses and then finished them all up closely, you'd have, 3 or 4 time lapses at one time, but then a long time with nothing. So I rather just push through, get done, and produce it out. So this is probably going to be my next project. And again, much like I just said with the town, I'm going to get it to a point where I'm satisfied with it, then release time lapse, and then I might be back later to make it a little more intricate or clean things up or whatever. Some of the detail work doesn't really come through that well in time lapses. Plus, I have to make decisions or whatever. I like to work time lapses on things that are bigger and things that I don't sit and build and rebuild and destroy 5 or 6 times in a row. So anyway, those are the plans. Wow, it's nearly been 25 minutes of me talking. So, but yeah, I wanted to let you know where I was at. Glad to be back. Glad it's a new year. Glad that that I'm closer to real time. So this will go up probably about a week after I've recorded it. But I also, am going to jump in and start building on this, and maybe make that basalt generator also once I make some decisions over there. So, I have a bunch of things to do. Oh, and a gold. Oh my God. So, I need to add that to the board too. Boy, I was really inefficient with the board today. So in keeping with the theme of not having access to things, I can now, under 1.16, trade with piglins, and I do not have a way to do that. I mean, I have the zombie piglin farm, which is great for gathering gold and rotten flesh, but I do not have a way to trade with piglins. So I need to make a piglin farm or not farm, but a piglin thing, trading hall thing, some type of thing in the nether. So I have all the trading with villagers now. I need to just make something similar where it's easy to trade and get stuff for piglins, because they can give you black cobblestone, they can give you obsidian, they can give you crying obsidian, I think. And there's other things I think they can give you, but those the crying obsidian and the blackstone are really the only access I have to those things. And really obsidian, it's, other than trading with occasionally with wandering traders for lava and then making that into obsidian, or I guess respawning the Ender Dragon, I think they would then actually respawn obsidian pillars. But and I might try respawning the Ender Dragon at some point. I made the Enderman farm pretty close, considering how destructive the Ender Dragon can be and how much range he has. But if that gets destroyed, that's not the end of the world. Honestly, at this point, I go more to my zombie piglin farm for experience, and because the drops there are more useful. Ender pearls are fine, but they're not that useful, and I have I don't even know how many chests of ender pearls at this point. So, probably only 4 or 5. But, I really only have used ender pearls to make ender chests. So, I don't need that many ender chests. So, if I need to relocate that at some point, or if it gets destroyed and I eventually need to rebuild it, then fine. But I might fight the Ender Dragon one more time. And then I would have a good amount of obsidian, but also I didn't get any Dragon's Breath, although, again, that just makes linger potions? I don't know. We'll see. I also can get the Dragon Egg, which I'm going to get and move the Dragon Egg to my zoo at some point. So I will need to do that. But yeah, so one more sign, and I guess I'll put it on the same level where I grouped all the other signs. Okay. And put it right here and say Piglin Trading Hall. Okay. So yeah, those are the plans. I like to keep the board updated with plans, and obviously I haven't put the other 7 wonders on here or whatever, but yeah. So a lot of things to build, and this is all now updated. Nothing on here is something that I've already completed. So yeah, lots of stuff, lots and lots of stuff. I guess that's it. I'm gonna go. As always, gamers, have a good evening, day, and night. Minecraft, time-lapse, mob traps, world maps, cat naps, rap tracks, perhaps. You'll tune in and watch the hijinks, and if you like, click the up and subscribe links.